Let's take a look at a graph for an imperfect competitor. An imperfect competitor could be a monopoly, an oligopoly, or a monopolistic competitor. In the long run, the monopolistic competitor breaks even as far as economic profit goes. They make an accounting profit. Perfect competitors the same way. They make an accounting profit, but they break even as far as economic profits are concerned. The difference between economic profits and accounting profits is that the economic profit includes opportunity cost. So as far as breaking even, monopolistic competitor breaks even in the long run. The monopoly and the oligopoly, they both make a profit in the long run. So if you see a test problem and it asks if the firm's in the long run or in the short run, you may not be able to determine that unless you're told what type of firm it is, because they're different depending on if it's a monopolistic competitor or an oligopoly or monopoly. So let's take a look at this graph. And we know that that's the graph of an imperfect competitor because now our demand and marginal revenue curves are separate lines, and they both slope down and to the right. They slope down and to the right because these firms have to decrease their price in order to increase their output. They're separate lines because since the firm only has one price, when they start dropping the price, they not only have to drop the price on all these units out here, they have to drop it on all these previous units. So that decreases their marginal revenue. And we know that this firm here is taking a loss. And we know that just by looking at it, because the average total cost curve is above the demand curve at all points. And we read price from the demand curve. So when you look at your formula here, price minus average total cost, if the average total cost is always greater than the price, then this is always going to be a negative number. So they are taking a loss. So after you've looked at several of these graphs, you understand the formula, think about that. If the average total cost curve is always above the demand curve and price is read from the demand curve, this is always going to be a negative number. So you know that that firm is taking a loss. Now, let's look at a firm that is making a profit. That might look like the graph of a firm that's making a profit. You see that the average total cost curve comes down below the demand curve. So they're making a profit. Are they in the long run or the short run? Well, we don't really know because we don't know if this is a monopoly, a monopolistic competitor, or an oligopoly. And we know that monopolies and oligopolies make a profit in the long run, but the monopolistic competitor doesn't. So we can't really say. Now let's look at the graph of a firm that's breaking even. A firm that's just breaking even. the average total cost curve is going to come down and just barely touch the demand curve. And the reason that would be a breaking even is because at that particular point where it just barely touches the demand curve, price minus average total cost would be 0. So they would be breaking even. And that's the imperfect competitor.